The stars hung like silent watchers over Earth's primary diplomatic station. Inside the gleaming structure, Ambassador Jisoo sat motionless, reading the message for the third time. The Galactic Council had sent their final word. Earth must reduce its fleet by 80% within 30 days or face consequences. They cannot be serious, Jisoo whispered to her aide Kangdae. All intelligence suggests they are, Ambassador, Kangdae replied, his face grim. The council vote was nearly unanimous. Jisoo walked to the window overlooking Earth below, its blue-white swirl a stark contrast to the darkness of space. For 50 years, humans had worked tirelessly to join the galactic community. They had learned alien languages, adapted to strange customs, and even accepted unfavorable trade agreements. Now this. Connect me to Defense Command, she ordered. Minutes later, General Yun-ho's weathered face appeared on the screen. His eyes narrowed as Jisoo explained the situation. So they finally showed their true intentions, he said, not sounding surprised. Request your return to Earth immediately, Ambassador. This goes beyond diplomacy now. 2 days later, Jisoo stood before Earth's Security Council in their underground chamber beneath the old city of Seoul. Representatives from all Earth nations listened intently as she detailed the Council's demands. They claim our expansion rate threatens galactic stability, she explained. But their own records show we've colonized fewer systems than any other new member in the last century. It's our military they fear, General Yun-ho added. Not our territory. President Min leaned forward. What do our allies on the council say? The Teller and Novan representatives warned me privately that the Bok species has been pushing this agenda for years, Jisoo replied. They believe the Bok want our resource-rich systems in the Centauri sector. The room fell silent until a voice spoke from the shadows. Admiral Taewoo stepped into the light, his uniform lacking any insignia despite his rank. Madam President, it's time to consider Protocol Lazarus. Several council members gasped. Most had believed the protocol was merely a legend, a contingency plan too extreme to exist. Admiral, that protocol hasn't been discussed in this chamber for 40 years, the president said carefully. Because we haven't needed it, Taewoo replied. But our ancestors weren't fools. They knew this day might come. He activated the central display, showing a three-dimensional map of the solar system. With a few commands, new locations appeared, blinking red dots scattered throughout the outer planets and beyond. During the Solar Wars, before our unified government, Earth nations built weapons and ships unlike anything we've revealed to the galactic community, Taewoo explained. When peace came, rather than destroy these fleets, our ancestors hid them. The technology aboard those vessels remains centuries ahead of anything we've shown the Council. How many ships? Asked Defense Minister Soo-jin. Over 5,000, capital vessels and 20,000 support craft, Taewoo answered, all maintained by automated systems waiting for activation codes. President Min walked around the table studying the map. And you believe the Council doesn't know about this fleet? We've maintained a careful deception for generations, Taewoo confirmed. Every family in my bloodline has served as guardians of this secret. The energy signatures are masked by gravity wells and dimensional pockets. Our visible fleet is deliberately designed to appear as our main force. Jisoo understood now why Earth had always capitulated to minor council demands. They weren't being weak, they were hiding their strength. We should comply publicly, Jisoo suggested. Begin decommissioning older vessels as a show of good faith while we secretly prepare the hidden fleet. Agreed, said the president. Admiral Taewoo, you have 30 days to wake the sleeping giants. Ambassador Jisoo will buy us time through diplomacy. As the meeting ended, Jisoo approached Taewoo. Do you think the council truly means to attack if we don't comply? The admiral's eyes reflected decades of classified knowledge. The Bok have been waiting for an excuse. They don't want our compliance, they want our surrender. But they've made a grave miscalculation, which is, they believe they know humanity's full strength, he said quietly. They do not. Galactic Council's fatal move. Earth unleashes its ancient fleet in retaliation. The morning sun cast long shadows. across Luna Base Alpha as Admiral Taewoo stepped from the transport shuttle. His breath formed small clouds in the station's cold air. This remote outpost, officially listed as a research facility, served as the primary command center for Operation Lazarus. "Status report," Taewoo demanded as he entered the control room, buried deep beneath the lunar surface. Commander Yoon-ji saluted sharply. "We've begun awakening procedures for the Neptune cluster first, sir. Power signatures remain masked by the planet's magnetic field." Screens around them displayed real-time data from throughout the solar system. In the 20 days since the Council's ultimatum, Earth had made a show of compliance. 10 outdated cruisers had been publicly decommissioned in ceremonies broadcast across galactic channels. "And our guests?" Taewoo asked. "The Council observers remain on Earth Station 1, carefully watching our every move," Yoon-ji replied with a slight smile. "They seem particularly pleased with the dismantling of the Horizon class destroyers. Little do they know those ships were scheduled for replacement anyway," Taewoo muttered. On the main display, a secure channel opened. Ambassador Jisoo appeared, looking tired but resolute. "Admiral, the Council has accepted our first round of decommissioning. They've granted us a 10-day extension to complete the process." "Well done, Ambassador. How's the mood?" Jisoo's expression darkened. "The Bach representatives barely hide their satisfaction. I've learned they've already begun drafting mining rights agreements for our outer colonies. They won't get the chance to use them," Taewoo promised. After the call ended, Taewoo and Yoon-ji descended further into the lunar base. They passed through 7 security checkpoints before reaching a massive vault door that hadn't been opened in decades. "Initiate genetic verification," Taewoo commanded. A scanner analyzed his retinal pattern, DNA, and brainwave signature. The massive door slowly swung open, revealing a chamber that held Earth's most closely guarded secret. The Nexus core pulsed with blue energy. This quantum computer, built with technology far beyond what Earth shared with the galactic community, maintained connections with the hidden fleet. Its design incorporated principles from a crashed alien vessel discovered on Mars 3 centuries ago. "Begin full activation sequence," Taewoo ordered. Throughout the solar system, dormant ships stirred to life. Hidden beneath the ice of Europa, concealed in the rings of Saturn, and drifting in the darkness beyond Pluto, ancient weapons awakened. Each vessel housed advanced AI systems bonded with the consciousness patterns of volunteer pilots from generations passed back on Earth. Minister Soo-jin faced increasingly demanding Council observers. "We require access to your military command centers to verify compliance," insisted Pak, the Bach representative. "That would violate our sovereignty agreements," Soo-jin replied calmly. "The decommissioning records we've provided meet all treaty requirements." "Perhaps," Pa said, his scaled skin flushing with irritation, "the Council should reconsider Earth's membership status entirely." Soo-jin maintained her diplomatic smile while sending an encrypted message to the President. "The Bach are growing impatient. I believe they plan to force the issue soon." That night, in a secure bunker beneath the Pacific Ocean, President Min met with her inner circle. "Fleet status?" she asked Admiral Taewoo, who joined via quantum encrypted hologram. 60%. Activated and running silent. 10 days more and we'll be at full strength." Ambassador Jisoo spoke next. "My sources indicate the Council military vessels have been repositioning throughout the last week. They're establishing a containment formation around our solar system. They don't plan to wait the full 30 days, the President concluded. "Admiral, accelerate the timeline. Ambassador, return to Earth immediately. I won't have you as a hostage when they make their move." As the meeting concluded, Minister Soo-jin approached the President privately. "Are we certain this is the right path? Once we reveal the fleet, there's no going back." President Min looked at the global map showing the billions of lives depending on their decisions. "We've tried diplomacy for 50 years, she said quietly. "We gave concessions, followed their rules, and earned our place. If they still see us only as territory to be claimed, then it's time they learned what humanity is truly capable of." Galactic Council's fatal move. Earth unleashes its ancient fleet in retaliation. The emergency alarm pierced the silence of Earth Station 1. Ambassador Jisoo rushed toward the command center, dodging panicked staff in the narrow corridors. She had been about to board her shuttle back to Earth when defense systems detected multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel near Mars. "Status report," she demanded, entering the bustling control room. 36 Council vessels have entered the system," Captain Hyun-soo reported, his voice tight. "They've bypassed standard approach protocols and aren't responding to communications." Jisoo felt ice form in her stomach. "How long until they reach Earth?" "Less than 2 hours at current speed." She activated a secure channel to Earth defense. "Command." General Yunho's face appeared, his expression grave. "We see them, Ambassador. Return to Earth immediately. We're evacuating all orbital platforms." "There are over 20,000 civilians on those platforms," Jisoo protested. "And we have less than 2 hours to save them," the general replied. "The president is about to address the planet. Get to your shuttle now." As Jisoo raced to the docking bay, view screens throughout the station showed President Min's solemn face. "Citizens of Earth, I speak to you during our darkest hour since the Solar Wars. The Galactic Council has broken faith with humanity. Their ships approach with hostile intent despite our compliance with their demands. We face an adversary that has mistaken our diplomacy for weakness. They will learn today how grave their error is." Jisoo barely made it to her shuttle before the first attack came. Brilliant beams of energy lanced through space, striking Earth's orbital defense platforms. The destruction was methodical. Precision strikes against military targets, but with no regard for civilian casualties. From her shuttle window, Jisoo watched in horror as Station 1 erupted in flame, atmosphere venting into space as thousands of lives were extinguished in an instant. "They didn't even warn us," whispered her pilot, tears streaming down his face. On Earth, Admiral Tae-woo stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching the devastation unfold. His fists clenched as casualty reports flooded in. The Council forces had timed their attack perfectly, when Earth's visible defenses were at minimum strength due to the decommissioning process. "Sir," Commander Yoon-ji approached, her voice steady despite the chaos. "The hidden fleet awaits your command." Tae-woo looked at the strategic display. "Not yet. Let them believe they've won." Across the solar system, Council ships systematically destroyed Earth's known military infrastructure. Orbital platforms, moon bases, and defense satellites fell one by one. Earth's remaining official fleet fought bravely but was heavily outnumbered. On the Council flagship, Intelligence Director Hana watched the battle with growing unease. A human who had chosen to serve the Council decades ago, she had warned them repeatedly that this attack was unwise. "High Commander," she addressed the Bach leader. "Our sensors detect unusual energy fluctuations near the outer planets." The Bach commander dismissed her concern with a wave of his scaled hand. "Merely feedback from our weapon systems. The humans are nearly defeated." Within 6 hours, Earth's known defenses had been reduced to rubble. Millions watched from the planet's surface as their first line of protection vanished. The Council broadcast their message across all frequencies. "People of Earth, your military forces have been neutralized. The Galactic Council hereby revokes Earth's membership and establishes direct control over your system. Surrender your government within 12 hours or face planetary bombardment." In the presidential bunker, Earth's leaders gathered for what might be their final meeting. Casualty reports showed over 30,000 dead, mostly station personnel and defense forces. "The Council believes they've won," President Min said, her voice steady despite the grim news. "They expect our surrender." "Let them think that," Admiral Tae-woo replied from his lunar command post. "The fleet is ready. We await your order." President Min looked at each face around the table, then nodded slowly. "Humanity has tried peace. We've extended our hand in friendship, only to be betrayed. Activate Protocol Lazarus. Let the Council learn what it means to awaken a sleeping giant." As darkness fell across Earth, its people mourned their dead. But in the depths of space, ancient warships stirred, their weapons charging as they prepared to reveal humanity's true power. Galactic Council's fatal move. Earth unleashes its ancient fleet in retaliation. For 3 days after the Council's attack, silence reigned across Earth's communications. The Council ships maintained their positions in orbit, weapons ready. They had issued their ultimatum, destroyed Earth's visible defenses, and now awaited the planet's surrender. On the Bach flagship, celebration had already begun. A toast, announced High Commander Mogg, raising a goblet filled with glowing liquid. To the newest resource world of the Bach Imperium. Intelligence Director Hana stood apart from the festivities, staring at her sensor readings. The strange energy fluctuations near the outer planets had not disappeared. If anything, they had grown stronger. High Commander, she said, approaching Mogg's table. I strongly recommend we investigate these anomalies before an aide rushed into the chamber. Commander, we've lost contact with our outpost near Pluto. Mogg slammed down his goblet. What? Before anyone could respond, another report came in. Sir, we've lost 3 patrol ships near Saturn's rings. Alarms blared across the ship. The tactical officer's voice shook as he reported. Multiple unknown vessels appearing throughout the system. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. On view screens, across the Council fleet, the impossible unfolded. Ships unlike any in known space materialized near every major Council vessel. Their hulls bore the scars of ancient battles, yet they moved with deadly grace. These weren't newly built craft. They were old, powerful, and had clearly been waiting for this moment. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Taewu stood before the communications array. This is Admiral Taewu of Earth's True Defense Fleet. For 50 years, we extended our hand in friendship to the Galactic Council. You responded with treachery and death. The transmission reached every Council ship simultaneously, bypassing their security protocols as if they didn't exist. You believed. You knew humanity's capabilities, Taewu continued, his voice calm but filled with resolve. You did not. You believed you could strike us without consequence. You were wrong. On the Council flagship, Mogg watched in horror as Earth's hidden fleet engaged his forces. Council weapons seemed to pass through the human vessels without effect, while the ancient ship's weapons cut through Council shields like they weren't there. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology, it's beyond anything we've seen. Intelligence Director Hana studied the ships with growing understanding. The humans have had this capability all along. Everything they showed us, their struggles. With basic interstellar travel, their outdated weapons, it was all a deception. Within hours, half the Council fleet lay in ruins. The ancient Earth vessels moved in perfect coordination, their tactics unlike anything seen in modern space warfare. Each ship seemed to predict Council maneuvers before they happened. In his command chair aboard the flagship Guardian, Admiral Taewu watched the battle unfold. Beside him stood Jisoo, rescued from her damaged shuttle during the initial counterattack. How is this possible? She asked, gesturing to the holographic displays showing Earth ships performing maneuvers that defied known physics. When our ancestors found that crashed alien ship on Mars, they discovered principles of science the Council races have never grasped, Taewu explained. Phase shift technology, predictive quantum computing, consciousness-merged AI pilots, we kept it all hidden, knowing someday we might need it. On the main screen, a Council battlecruiser fired its main weapon at an Earth vessel. The beam passed harmlessly through the ship, which then seemed to flicker before reappearing inside the Council vessel's shields. We could have shared this technology, Jisoo said quietly. We could have advanced the entire galaxy. Taewu nodded. And we would have, had they accepted us as equals. Instead, they saw only resources to claim and a species to subjugate. Throughout Council space, reports flooded in of human vessels appearing near major military installations, governmental centers, and key Council worlds. The message was clear. Earth could strike anywhere at any time. Galactic Council's fatal move. Earth unleashes its ancient fleet in retaliation. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council stood silent. Once proud representatives of 200 species now sat subdued as Admiral Taewu and Ambassador Jisoo entered. The massive view screens showed Earth ships positioned at key points throughout Council space, including directly above each Council member's homeworld. This emergency session will come to order, announced the council speaker, a teller whose blue skin had paled considerably in recent days. High Commander Mog of the Bach sat in chains, his once powerful faction now disgraced after the failed attack. On Earth, beside him several council members who had supported the assault awaited judgment. Humans, the speaker began. Your response to the council's action has demonstrated power beyond our understanding. We request terms for peace. Jisoo stepped forward. For 50 years, Earth sought nothing but peaceful cooperation. We endured unfair trade agreements, territorial restrictions, and constant mistrust. Yet we persevered, believing in the promise of galactic unity. She activated a hologram showing the destroyed Earth stations, the thousands of lives lost in the unprovoked attack. These were not soldiers, she said, her voice steady. They were scientists, engineers, families, people who believed in your council. Taewoo spoke next. Our terms are simple. First, Earth will be recognized as a founding power in a reformed council, with equal status to any other member. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Equal status to races that had been spacefaring for thousands of years was unprecedented. Second, those responsible for ordering the attack will face justice, not revenge, but true justice under laws that apply equally to all species. Mog snarled but said nothing. Third, and most importantly, Jisoo continued, the council will be restructured to prevent any single faction from dominating others. No more will technological advantage determine political power. The council speaker looked around the chamber. And if we refuse? Taewoo's expression remained neutral. We have positioned only 30% of our fleet throughout council space. We prefer peaceful resolution, but we are prepared for alternatives. After 3 days of tense negotiations, the Treaty of New Earth was signed. The galaxy watched as power structures that had stood for millennia were reformed overnight. Some council races protested, but most recognized that humanity had earned its place not through conquest, but by defending itself against aggression. 1 month later, Admiral Taewoo stood before a memorial wall on Earth's largest remaining orbital platform. The names of those lost in the council attack covered its surface. President Min joined him, placing her hand on his shoulder. Do you think our ancestors would approve of how we used their fleet? She asked. Taewoo considered the question. They built those ships during humanity's darkest hours, when we fought each other over resources and ideology. They created weapons that could have destroyed us all, but instead chose to hide them away, hoping they'd never be needed. He touched a name on the wall, his grandfather's brother, lost in the attack. I think they would be proud that when we finally revealed our strength, we used it not for vengeance or conquest, but to secure peace. As they spoke, ships from a dozen species arrived in Earth orbit, delegates to the first assembly of the Reformed Galactic Council, to be hosted on Earth. Among them were younger races who had watched Earth stand against the old council with great interest. We're not alone, are we? President Min asked, noticing Taewoo's thoughtful expression. No, he replied. Intelligence suggests at least 3 other minor races have hidden capabilities similar to ours. They've been watching, waiting to see if they too could emerge from the shadows. The president smiled. Then perhaps the greatest achievement of our ancient fleet wasn't winning a war, but changing the course of galactic history. As Earth welcomed representatives from across the stars, its ancient vessels returned to their hiding places. They would sleep again, guardians of a peace. Their revelation had helped create